Hello everyone and welcome to another Console Pro News video. Today we'll be talking more about the PUBG Mobile Pro League. That's right, the PMPL. My name is Blue, of course, and here at Console Pro News, giving you all the inside information. So today we'll break down the Americas because they just finished their second set of scrims, which is their season 2 of scrims. So 16 days of scrims are now complete, and in 3 days on June 6th they will start their regular season. Now they're called the Americas because it's Brazil, LATAM, and North America all put in together in one division. And then towards the end of the video we will talk about the second week and recap some of the stuff that happened in the Asia bracket, which they have already started their regular season. They just finished week 2. So let's get right into it and talk about these Americas teams. Day 3 of the second set of scrims where they came in third on both of those times. Other than that, 20th they finished twice, I think, in last place, 15th, 19th, 14th, a couple 18th places. It's very rough time for this team. I didn't see anything that really stood out to me from them either. If we go back to wildcard, they've got players like Slicky and Spring, who really, they would win gunfights even if they were in those bad situations. And with Mez, you have Vega. He was able to make some plays here and there sometimes, but mostly it was pretty silent from this team. I don't expect much of them either. I'd have to say Group A is pretty wide open. I think Loops are very good, and B4 is kind of in the same boat as Mez and Wildcard. If they can't execute their game plan, their one and only game plan, then it doesn't really work out well for them towards endgame if they make it that far. But speaking of Loops, they finished in second twice on day 4 and day 6 on the first half of scrims. In day 1 of the second set, they finished third. Other than that, it was pretty mild finishes for them, but not as bad. I think their lowest was an 18th place, which was in between their 2 second places in the first set of scrims. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe they tried to change something, but whatever worked the first day, whatever worked on day 4 and day 6, obviously was much better in the results than what worked on day 5 for them. But they've got they've got a couple 5th places, 6th places, 4th places. So the lowest they ever finished was 18th, and then there was a 16th in there as well. So Loops, they're kind of a middle of the pack team, if you ask me. They're not too bad, they're not too good. No one on that team really stands out to me either, but they all kind of stand out as a collective unit, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And then moving on to B4 Esports. B4 has a guy named Lev1. We're just going to call him Lev. And he made some really good plays, especially with his utility, using those vehicles endgame a couple times. He played it very smart, and I like to watch him and like the way he used those utilities endgame. He made some moves that were very risky, but he was able to do some good stuff, and the small minor stuff too. He's driving a car, he's by himself towards the end game. Someone tries to shoot at him from the driver's side of the car, so before he gets out of the car, he swaps seats real fast so that he can hop out on the other side. Just small little minor plays. He stayed alive for about, he died a few moments later, but he was able to place one spot higher and secure some more points for his team. But anyways, their best finish, they came in first on day 6 of the second set of scrims. Other than that, 16th, 19th, 16th, 14th, 12th, 15th, and another 16th. Not doing so hot. Other than that first place, their best finish was 6th. So B4, Loops, Mez, Wildcard, this group wide open. Any of these teams could come out from it. Pretty difficult to gauge who will be the clear best team out of that. If I have to pick one, I think it could be Wildcard if they find their rotations the way they should. And if not, then Loops might just take this group. So let's move on to Group B, where we have Grunto Esports, Cult2 BGBG, Exam Gaming, and Omen Elite. Now, if you take all of the scrims together, Omen Elite was the second place overall team. But, the standings reset after every day of scrims. So just take that as lightly as you want. Grunto, very, very difficult team to watch. And they've had a very tough time in the scrims. I think their best finish was a 4th place. And then second best was a 7th place. So Grunto has been struggling the entire time. Just take a look at these results here. 13, or just listen to these results. 13, 13, 15, 16, 7th, 4th. And then after that, it was back downhill. 12th, 16th, 16th, 18th, 11th, 11th, 19th, 14th, 14th, 18th. Team had really bad rotations. They can't win gunfights. It looks like they tried to drop into hot zones on each map, and they're not able to communicate well enough to keep themselves alive in those fights very early on in the game. I don't know. Grunto having a tough time. I'd like to see how they adjust in this coming up in the actual season. Call 2 BG, another team that was very difficult to gauge because they were dead a lot of the time. Their best finish was actually day 4 of the second set of scrims. They actually won that one, so they came in first that day. Other than that, they were pretty non-existent. I think their best place after that was 4th and then a 6th, but the rest was bottom of the pile, bottom of the standings. Call 2 BG, not looking too hot to me. Wan G sort of has some potential there from what I've seen. Same with Grunto. They have a dude named Lucas and Bucky. They were able to win some gunfights when they did get second circle or late game. But other than that, nothing really much from Grunto or Cult2. Exam Gaming, best place finishes. Day 1 and day 3, they came 3rd in both of those days. That was the first set of scrims. After that, pretty non-existent from them as well, kind of middle of the pack. They did scratch their way to the top a couple times in the second set of scrims. They finished 20th twice after those 3rd place finishes, which was exactly 1 day after a 3rd place and then 2 days after that as well. But like I said, second season of scrims, they did kind of crawl their way back into relevancy. They came 7th, 5th, 4th, and another 5th place as well. But Exam Gaming, they really need to find what works for them. Go back and watch those videos. Why did you come in 3rd those days? And what can you do to redo that and maybe even make it better? Get yourself a 1st place finish. Get yourself some chicken dinners as well. Garcia, I would say, is the best player on this team. He's the one that really stood out to me. Although, I think it's Lupita. Lupita made some plays as well. Moving on, though. Omen Elite. This is one of the best teams in the league, I think. They've just had a really rough time at certain maps. I don't think they're very good on Miramar. And I'm pretty sure we've seen them play on Sandhook, and they were just atrocious there too. But they are good on Erangel. Hair gel. But they finished 1st place twice. They had 2 second place finishes and a 3rd place finish. Both their 1st place finishes came in the 1st set of scrims, as well as one of the 2nd places. I think they finished 19th the day after they won a scrim, so they were trying different things. I'll accept that. They came 7th and 11th consecutively after that. Omen Elite, though, has been a solid squad throughout the entire scrim session. I think Zute is very good. I think Nico's good. I think Juicy is insane. If you look at the rosters on Liquipedia, it says that Juicy is a sub. But I saw Juicy playing every time. Excuse me. Maybe that's because it was scrim, so they're trying things with the sub. But if he's playing that much, I expect him to be a starter. And especially when he was playing as well as he was fragging out. Zute, Telly, Angry, and Nico all doing very well when they are in there. I don't think I've seen Telly in there as much, though. Maybe because that's when Juicy was in there, and Juicy is fragging. So, Omen Elite, Juicy, I think they could be a very good team. I think they could be a top contender as well. Omen Elite, I think, can win this group. I think their only competition would be Exam Gaming, but that's not much competition at all if you just look at those 4 teams. Moving on, though, Group C. Let's take a look here. We have XQ Gaming or XQuest Gaming. I think that's an all-Chinese roster as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody in the comments, because their whole roster was listed as a Chinese roster. And they're not in South Asia, and I think I know why. It's because they're not that good. So maybe they thought they could contend in the NA region or the Americas region instead of the Asia region, but I don't think it's working out very well for them. They also have Ace7 Esports, which is Alpha 7, I think, if I'm correct, and Ace1 and Tempo Storm. All right, let's just say this right now. Tempo Storm, best team in this league. They didn't look like it at first. First set of scrims, this is the results in the first set of scrims. Ready? 7th, 16th, first place, 18th, 11th, 6th, 4, 9. Now let's take a look at their second set of scrims. The last 8 days of scrims. You ready for this? First, 3rd, 9, 7th, and then 20th in the last day. Doesn't matter. If you were adding up all of these overall results for all of the scrims, they're the first place team. Tempo Storm is insane, and their roster is insane as well. Rain, Spec, Tensa, HH24. Shout out to HH24, by the way. He followed me on Twitch, and I didn't even realize it was him that was on Tempo Storm for like 2 days. So shout out to him. He's fragging as well. But that entire team, everybody on that team, Tensa is making good plays. Spec is making good plays. Rain is just mowing people down, and HH24 is getting triples out the wazoo somehow. I see some clips of him in the actual scrims with the other pro teams. He's jumping off buggies just like, come here, boy, from a guy 100 meters away. So, team's insane. That's all I have to say about Tempo Storm. I'm picking them to win the entire season. So, that's the way I'm jumping on the bandwagon. Whatever. There's a storm coming, okay? But let's talk about A7. I want to talk about A7 real quick. Rolex, one of the biggest content creators I have found out about PUBG Mobile. Pretty cool guy. I've watched his stream once already, and checked out some of his YouTube videos as well. Really good mechanically. But the rest of the team, as well as Rolex, I'm not going to say the team is slacking and Rolex is not, because Rolex has been making some bad plays as well. They did finish 3rd as their best in all 16 days of scrims, and that was about it. Other than that, you know, they're bottom of the pile. 18th places, 19th places, 20th place, 15th. I think their best was a 4th place. Other than that, 3rd. So A7 having a very tough time. And I've sort of become a fan of Rolex, so it's tough to critique that, but what else can I say? A7, bottom of the barrel, and the worst part is that I thought XQ was very bad. A7 is contending with them for being the worst in this group. Ace, though, Ace1, kind of surprising. Nothing really stood out from them. Their rotations were always different in scrims. You know, sometimes they'd play outside circles, sometimes they play inside. You know, sometimes they split loot, and sometimes they split 2-2, and a lot of times they're trying to get some sniping going, but that didn't really work out for them when they tried that. So, you know, when they just go double ARs, or, you know, they grab like a mini instead of a pure sniper rifle, they tend to have better success. But Ace1 was really stepping up their game in the beginning of scrims, where they finished second, third consecutively, and then a 4th place. But after that, only a 2nd place in the 2nd set of scrims. So maybe they were trying new things. I don't know, because they were doing different things, but maybe they were trying new things is what I'm saying, instead of like, oh, it just didn't work out for them, or, you know, oh, things weren't going their way. Maybe they were trying different things. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to any of the players, so it was very difficult to gauge them from that alone. But I think that Ace1 is a very good team. It's just tough to be in this group. I mean, XQ only finishing 1st on day 6 of the first set of scrims. After that, they're pretty much non-existent. I think their best finish after that was a 7th. They had 2 8th place finishes afterwards too, but it's nothing to shake a stick at. So XQ, A7, I think are battling between each other, and I think that Ace is kind of in a league of their own because they can't really keep up with Tempo Storm right now, but they're better than XQ and A7. So pretty interesting group there. Let's move on to Group D, where we have Simplicity, Cream Real, Betis SA, Trem Coretta, Ferracao, and Team Queso. Team Queso, pretty decent team here. They did have 2 first place finishes and 3 second place finishes. Other than that, nothing. I think they did have 2 5th place finishes as well. They did. But they've also finished 20th. You know, everyone's finished 20th at once here. Not everyone. But Team Queso, pretty good team. They have players that can frag out when they need to. And in the season, they're going to need to all the time. Mystic, I think is how you say his name. Pretty good player. I like watching him play. He gets good frags. Now, Trem Corretto Ferracao. I wanted to say that they had the coolest logo in the league because they had Thomas the Train with Captain America twerking on it. But they did change their logo to a more non-copyrighted logo and a more professional kind of logo. So good for them. It looks good as well. It looks more professional. But they actually, if you, again, Tempo Storm would have won if you added up all the scrim points together. Omen Elite would have been second, and this would have been your 3rd place team. Surprisingly, because they didn't really start out well to me. You know, they had a 9th, 12th, and 20th in their first 3 days of scrims. But then they win the next day, and then they have a 3rd place. And then in the second set of scrims, it seems they kind of polished everything up. You know, they come out second, take a 15th. Maybe they were trying new things, because then after that, a 1st and a 3rd place. So Coretta Ferracao looking really good. Really, really good, especially towards the end of the scrim sessions. So that's big momentum for them leading into the league, which is only 3 days away. So shout out to them. New logos doing them good use, or good luck, good mojo from the new logo. Cream Real Betis. Tough break for them, man. Tough break. Their best finish in all of the scrims was 7th place. One time they finished 7th, and then they finished 8th 3 times. Other than that, tough break for them, man. They are really gonna have to step it up, because they're gonna get pounded by the rest of the teams in their group here, and I mean all the other teams in the league as well. I think that Cream Real Betis is the 2nd worst team in the league. Even though they didn't finish top 3 in anything, top 6 even, it's going to be tough for them. I mean, Tomi Quinto Nitsu and Unico Idu, nothing impressive from them, man. Sometimes it was hot drops and they just got beat up. There were a few times when they finished in those 8th place and those 7th place. There were a few times when I got to see them end game. A couple times. I mean, you can count that many times on your single hand though. So it's tough to gauge them. I mean, teams like this, it's tough to gauge because we don't see them in that end game situation as often. So we can't really tell how they would react in that situation. So looking forward to seeing them, see if they can find some success here in the season. And then we have Simplicity. Simplicity has a guy named Doc. I think that's the guy that was getting these big double nades in endgame most of the time. You know, he knows how to lob those pineapples up. Does anyone call grenades pineapples anymore? Is that just a movie reference? Anyway, Simplicity finished 3rd, and then on the very last day of scrims, they finished 2nd. That 3rd place was in the first set of scrims. Simplicity, kind of a weird team to watch. I mean, they're either pretty good when you're watching them, or they're pretty bad. There's no real in between, even though they've, you know, these 4th place, 6th place, and 7th place finishes are because they were really good. They just weren't better than, you know, Tempo and the rest of those teams. But when they're not pretty good, it's really tough to watch. So This group, it's looking like Trem Coretto Furcal will take it. I think Team Queso can contend with them. I think Simplicity's in a league of their own, kind of like how I was saying with Exam Gaming, Ace One in the last group. But I don't know. Cream Real Betis has got to step it up. They've got to step it up. They can compete with Simplicity. You know they're going to be in your games because they're in your group. So just hot drop on them and kill them. And then, there you go. And then finally, we have Group E. Pittsburgh Knights, Tribe Gaming, Team Solid, Cloud9. All right, I told you Cream Real Betis was the second worst team in my opinion. First worst team is Team Solid. Very, very rough team there for them. I think their best finish was 4th place. Other than that, 7th, 9th, and then there was a bunch of 20th, 19th, and 18th, man. Team Solid really having a tough time. Cloud9, though, I think is probably the second best team behind Tempo Storm right now. Yes, I'm going to get a lot of slack for that. I think Cloud9, Beowulf especially, really good mechanically and gets the kills when they need to in certain situations. They had 3 first place finishes and their other 2 top 3s were both second place finishes. Cloud9, I think, just has a tendency to try new things very often in those scrims. So they were getting bad rotations. They were losing the gunfights. They had really bad positioning sometimes where they would give up high ground and they'd be stuck maybe on a cliff or behind some rocks, not much cover. And in those situations, they didn't have many vehicles for utility to use as cover, to rotate, to get into new positioning. So it was very tough on them. So if they can just pick it up, make sure that they have the utility that they need, make sure that they have the the grenades, the mollies that they need for these end games, and make sure that they get the kills that they need, then I think that Cloud9 can be very dangerous, especially with Beowulf. I liked watching him play, very good player, as well as I don't know how to say his name. Is it Pura or Pyra? Anyways, he was also very entertaining to watch for myself. Tribe Gaming, Seagut, Kinga, I think we're making some big plays. Sam and Mimo, though, very good anchors for the other two. When Seagut and Kinga would get aggressive, Mimo and Sam, they would know how to position themselves to play high ground and watch their teammates' backs. And if they needed to push and be aggressive with them, they were able to do that as well. And then we have Pittsburgh Knights. Here's the thing about Pittsburgh Knights. I totally forgot to go back in the VOD and see who the 4th player was, because on their roster, they only have 3 listed. Raven 7, which is just the number 7, not spelled out 7, just the number 7, and Zaniel. I did see Raven play, but Pittsburgh Knights, I really didn't watch a lot of them. Again, that's, I went back and watched the VODs. Not totally in my control, but the Observer didn't really stick on Pittsburgh Knights that much. 3rd place finish was their best finish. Tribe Gaming, also only one time they finished 3rd. So this group's pretty much wide open for Cloud9 to take, and because of that, especially having Team Solid, that's why I said that Cloud9 could be the second best team in the league behind Tempo Storm. But again, all these teams are really good. They're in the Pro League for a reason. If we take a look here, the direct qualified teams, Cloud9, Tempo Storm, Omen Elite, right there. Top 3 teams in my opinion. Team Queso, there's another top, I'd say 6 team, because I want to put I want to put Trem Coretto before Team Queso. B4 Esports also direct qualified. And then the Club Open NA teams, Wildcard Gaming, Grunto, XQ, Simplicity, Pittsburgh Knights, and Tribe Gaming. And then your Brazilian teams from the Club Open are Loops, Exam Gaming, Ace One, Trem Coretto, Furcal, Team Solid. And then your Club Open LATAM is Cream Real Betis, A7, Call2, BG, and Mezekis Esports. So very tough, very tough. But let's take a brief look here before we end this video at what happened in week 2 after day 4 of the Asia regular season here. And yes, as you can see, Orange Rock now in first place. They do have one more match played than Godlike at the moment, but Synergy with 31 games played already. Remember, last time we took a look at this in the last video, everyone had 16 games played, so a lot more games being played already. Orange Rock, though, only 4 chicken dinners last week. They grab another 3 this week. And they also grabbed, I think they had 91 kills, so they grabbed, what is that, 59 kills this week to move up, and they take a large lead over Godlike this time. 402 total points, and then second is 341. Synergy, though, not too far behind second place. You know, we've seen this. Orange Rock, though, last week had 241 points, so big jump for them. Over 150 point jump for them, so big ups to them. They got a lot of points from kills and 3 wins in those days as well. TSM Entity, though, falling from 3rd to 4th as Synergy moves up, so those 2 teams swap places. And Megastars making a huge climb, actually. Megastars were in 14th place with only 116 points. They move up. They now have 321, 123 kills after only having 47. So that's almost a 100 kill jump there in week 2. So Megastars making some plays. IND went down to, they were the 5th place team before that. And Fnatic making some plays as well. They move up to 6th. They were in 8th. And then to round out the top 10, we have Umumba Esports, Marcos Gaming, and then Powerhouse in 8th. Powerhouse was in 10th, so they moved up. And Marcos Gaming, we talked about them a little bit last week. They were in 11th place. They moved up to 10. And Team Soul, who was in 9th place. Team Soul moves all the way down to 12th. VSG Crawlers go from 7th to 11th as well. And then the rest of these teams were pretty much in the bottom. Big shout out to my boys, Dead Eyes Guy, though, who've been having a really rough time. Still no chicken dinners, but they did not finish in last place this week. Team Hype moves down there, so. And also, shout out to my boys, Elementrix. I believe my boy Poo Poo Man, I believe they moved up 1 spot. I think they were in 17th. Yes, they were. So they were in 17th last week. They moved up 1 spot. Let's go ahead and take a look at the kill leaders in the league so far. Now, the only person in this that was in the top 5 after week 1 was Mavu. I think it is the number 2 guy from Orange Rock. Okay, he was actually number 5 last week. And his teammate, who is now number 5, was number 4. But, you know, TSM's Jonathan, Neo, they both drop out of the top 5. Godlike Smokey, he drops out of the top 5 as well. But Megastars, they had to be the team of the week, man. Actually, it's tough to call. Orange Rock, they fragged out. They got 3 chicken dinners. They got, you know, a bunch of kills as well. They surged their way to 1st place. But Megastars also coming from the bottom 10 all the way to top 6, man. Impressive. Almost 150 plus point advantage there for them. 52 kills from Mega Vex. Vex been playing very, very well. Almost 10k damage for the season already. And then Mavu, he has 43 kills. He had 24, so almost 20 kills that week. He got 19, however. He's been playing very, very well. And then Synergy, again, Servi, doing very well. 41 kills for him, 41 kills for Z-God as well. Z-God kind of came out of nowhere, but good for him because he had to step up. Jonathan, Neo, who both had 27 and 25 kills after week 1, weren't able to get as many kills this week. TSM fell 1 spot in the rank in the standings, but my man Z-God still piling on some big kills there. And then another Orange Rock guy peeking into the top 5 right now with 40 kills, only 1 behind Z-God and Servi is... Yeah, we're not going to try and say the name. I hate butchering people's names, man, because, like, it's disrespectful to them, but it makes me sound like an idiot, too, so whatever it may be. But that's about it for this week's recap of PUBG Mobile Pro League. That's your Asia recap and your breakdown for what I think is going to happen in the Americas. Remember, it's not NA and South America. It's not North America or South America. Those teams are combined, as well as Brazil. It's the Americas. So June 6th, tune in live to watch the PUBG Mobile Pro League Americas go at it. Remember, Asia's already 2 weeks in, and if you want to catch those games, it's like 9 a.m. Eastern time if you want to watch those games. But I think it's 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern time for the for the Americas. So very, very excited to watch these games. I know they'll be good games, and anything can happen, man. You know, all those teams I said that aren't doing so hot right now, remember, that was just scrims. Now is the time where all the teams step up. Now is the time where these teams really go at it. So let's see it. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Console Pro News. Don't forget to check out the website consolecorner.co. If you're a fan of the NBA 2K League, we have all that stuff up there on that website as well, including stats for the players, teams, and the power rankings each week for this league. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Console Pro News. And make sure you hit like and subscribe down there and share this video. All my PUBG Mobile fans, keep grinding, as well as everyone else in any other game you're playing. Keep grinding.